NXT took place tonight in its home of Orlando, Florida at the WWE Performance Center. Now, before I get into this review, I wanted to thank Corey Graves for posting about Kevin Castle on his X account. I thought it was really classy. Kevin had publicly defended Corey Graves when the situation happened, when he decided to leave the WWE, walking out after being replaced on commentary on SmackDown. And Kevin really supported Corey. He thought he was getting the short end of the stick, and I thought it was very classy by Corey Graves to go out of his way to mention Kevin, to mention the situation on Twitter. He sent his best regards to the team in replying to a tweet by Don Choney, which was about Kevin. So thank you, Corey. That was very classy of you. Now, NXT took place tonight, and he started the show off with a backstage segment when Kelly Kincaid was interviewing Stephanie Vaquer on who she wants to face at Stand and Deliver because she has the option to choose her opponent. Stephanie says she will make her decision after the end of the match, and she goes out for commentary for the match, which is Jordynne Grace taking on Jada Parker. So Stephanie was on commentary, as I stated, and she tried her best to speak English. It was fine. I thought they asked her too many questions. It was brief, that's all I needed to, but, I think she's fine in promos. I think, sitting on commentary and speaking English for a whole match is it's a much different situation. So, in this match, you had Jordynne Grace botching a suicide dive on the outside. This led to Jada Parker slapping Stephanie Vaquer, who was on commentary. Stephanie goes to slap Jada back, but she hits Jordynne instead. This leads to a double disqualification. The three brawl inside the ring, and then Julia's music hits. She cleans house alongside Vaquer, who was almost being double-teamed. And then Stephanie goes to embrace Julia. Julia then turns on her by headbutting her, then hitting her finish on Stephanie. Julia then poses with the NXT Women's title over a fallen Stephanie, and it made you think, wow, we might finally get that rematch. I think the situation with Julia was regarding her visa, as to why she was she had to lose the title at Roadblock to Stephanie, because if the situation, I think if WWE knew that Julia was going to be back available 2 weeks before WrestleMania, they wouldn't have had her drop the belt to Stephanie, but because that situation happened, they had to do it. They did not know when Julia would be clear, but she's fine now. They show highlights of Ricky Saints winning the title. They had a Hank and Tank backstage segment with Swipe Right. Fraxium's out for a match. And then you had an NXT spotlight on the Culling. They are still reeling from Sean Spears losing his NXT North American Championship last week to Ricky Saints. You had Fraxium against Swipe Right. Fraxium won a very solid tag match. It didn't go long, but Fraxium got the win. Backstage, we had Fatal Influence. Fallon Henley and JC Jane are arguing about who's going to get a spot in the ladder match for the NXT Women's North American Championship. However, Jasmine Nyx stands up and says it's going to be neither of them, and it'll be her. Next, we had Jasmine Nyx taking on Sol Ruka in a qualifying match. So, Sol won. Her finish is one of the best. The Soul Snatcher, it just looks amazing. She got the win on Jasmine, and she qualifies for the NXT Women's North American Championship match at Stand and Deliver. You had Sarah Screeber interviewing Javon Evans. He says he's coming for the championship. Julia is walking outside, and we see her outside of the Performance Center, and she's asked why she attacked her friend. She says she wants her rematch at Stand and Deliver, and she first said that, I was kind of happy. I was thinking, good, we're going to get that rematch. We're going to have that long-length match in Vegas. I'm looking forward to it. Well, they'll be facing each other, just not only each other. Hank and Tank took on the Culling. Culling wins the match. Not much here. You had Ricky Saints heading to the PC. He's out for a promo. Then you had Lexis King come out to interrupt him, followed by Eddie Thorpe. And they're arguing. And then you had Ricky getting laid out by Ethan Page. Looks like a multi-man match. So many multi-person matches on NXT Stand and Deliver. It's crazy. You had Stephanie Vaquer telling Ava she wants all three of them, all three of the women she fought tonight, she got into a fight with, in a Fatal 4-way match to Stand and Deliver. I mean, which woman champion, any champion, by the way, would choose a Fatal 4-way match in which they only have a 25% chance of winning? I guess if you're doing Steiner math, that's different. I guess Stephanie Vaquero is doing Steiner math. I don't know, makes her look stupid. Who would choose a Fatal 4-Way match when you can lose the title without getting pinned? It would have made sense for her just to choose Julian, and maybe you can do Jordan and Jada Parker in a singles match separately, or you can have them have a match at NXT in Las Vegas on one of the tapings on Tuesday. You can have them do that match. Well, it's not a taping, it's a live event on Tuesday. Let them wrestle there. I just don't agree with doing this match, a Fatal 4, because a lot of it's to do with WrestleMania. We're getting so many multi-person matches. We already have a triple threat match for the NXT Championship at Stand and Deliver, which will be an event. I feel like with all the matches we're getting at WrestleMania or multi-person matches, we're getting a triple threat main event to headline night one. We're going to get a triple threat women's championship, probably going to be on night one, maybe on night two, I'm not sure. And then we're going to get another triple threat men's match headlining Stand and Deliver, and then we're going to get a Fatal 4-Way women's match for the NXT Women's Championship. I just feel like there's too many multi-person matches. You had Sarah Screeber backstage interviewing Trick Williams. He talks about the triple threat match and the six-man tag tonight. You had Wesley against Inamura. West won. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention West was out for that segment earlier. West won with interference against Inamura. You had Obafemi cutting a promo backstage. Not much here. Just your normal Obafemi promo. And then you get to Ren Sinclair against Izzy Dame. And this was I believe this was another qualifying match, if I'm not mistaken. So what happened? This was weird. Okay. So there's a powerbomb spot, and Izzy just pins Ren, and looks like Ren's hurt. I'm positive Ren Sinclair's hurt. It could have just been, she got hurt, and that was going to be the finish anyway. That might have been the finish, but it looked like Ren got hurt. If you have to look at it, if you haven't seen it, watch it. I'm pretty sure she's hurt here. He had a whole bunch of women backstage arguing. They all want on Stand and Deliver. I guess none of them are going to be in the qualifying matches anymore because they've all lost probably. You had Roxanne Perez, who's there. I just don't know why she's not doing more. She should be a big star in the main roster. I really wish she was facing Bayley at WrestleMania, or if she wasn't going to face her at WrestleMania, I was saying when they first feuding, have Roxanne Perez taking on Bayley at NXT Stand and Deliver. Let them tear the house down in Vegas. But I guess maybe it's too early in the morning. I don't know. But I just feel it's too bad Roxanne's not getting a feature match at WrestleMania weekend. Instead, she's probably, I think there's just going to be a 6-woman tag because you had Roxanne Perez by herself there. So she's not talking to her friend Cora Jade anymore. There was no Cora Jade to be cited here. I think Cora's just been in TNA recently doing matches there for them. But then you had the Meta Girls, and then you had, which were Lash Legend, Jakara Jackson. Jakara, I don't believe, lost a match yet, but Lash did lose her qualifier. Then you had Fatal Influence, who Jasmine lost her qualifying match. And, 6 of them are arguing. And I'm thinking, we might get a 6-woman tag at Stand and Deliver. I was thinking, I kind of would hope something else because I would have liked to see Roxanne Perez at least featured in a more prominent match. And I don't know who the last 2 spots are for the Women's Championship, but that's what we got there. And Ava says she's going to handle it, so we're probably getting a 6-woman tag. They preview the Stand and Deliver card. Again, too many multi-person matches. We see Andre Chase backstage. He's sad once again. I mean, we see that every week. He's always sad. Then we see Hank and Tank there, and all of a sudden the Street Profits show up, and it's just a weird thing where all these former NXT teams are showing up. I guess the only exception is the Motor City Machine Guns. They're showing up to give Hank and Tank advice. Why are Hank and Tank so special? Why does everyone want to help them and give them advice? I don't really get it. But that's what we got here. And then they do a long preview of next week's NXT card. And that was another preview for there. So we finally get our main event, which is a 6-man tag. You have the 3 men involved in the triple threat match for the NXT North American Championship at Stand and Deliver. NXT champion Obafemi teaming up with Javon Evans and former NXT champion Trick Williams to take on Dark State, a team I like to call Retribution 2.0. Guess that name's over. So Dark State gets the win here. Javon Evans took the fall. I think we all knew he'd get pinned. It was pretty obvious that they would win. The heels would win. They have to tease tension between the 3 of them to help you up the triple threat match some more. But It's more of a situation where I'm thinking, I hope Dark State doesn't interfere in the main event, because they probably are. I assume they are. However, after Dark State wins, you have Stax appearing on the screen, and he formally challenges Dark State to a parking lot brawl, not a stand lever, but next week on NXT. And I think to myself, I think Tony D'Angelo challenged for the NXT Championship last year, stand lever, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 2 years ago. But I think, actually, I was pretty sure it was last year. He lost to Ilya Dragunov, and now they're going to be left off the card. I'm not sure the family is going to go from here, but they teased a fight. I guess we're going to get that next week, and that's how the show ended. I thought it was okay, more of a paint-by-the-numbers show. Not the best NXT I've seen in a while. I have to say, since Roadblock, the shows have kind of been down in quality a bit, and this show wasn't that good. So next week's the official go-home show. If I sound down in my voice, I think you can figure out probably the reason. You look at my recent videos. I'm still very shook up by the very sad news that Kevin Castle passed away. It's still shocking to me. I've been listening to the Don Choi and Kevin Castle show since 2012. I listen to them all the time. Every Tuesday morning I'd like to listen. Sometimes on occasion I listen live. But I'm just shocked I'm never going to hear Kevin Castle's voice again. And a longtime fan. If you want to hear more of my thoughts, you should watch my tribute to Kevin Castle. That's my last video. It's on this channel. Again, I just want to give my condolences to the Scondato family for the loss of Kevin. Kevin's an icon here. Every wrestling podcaster, I believe, owes a debt of gratitude to Don Choney and Kevin Castle. Those guys are the OGs of this. Gonna miss Kevin Castle. Rest in peace, Kevin.